Hey everyone, Daniela here, executive with Young Living. Today I want to talk about natural talent and the misconception around that. And often people will use not being born with a natural proclivity towards something as an excuse to not pursue it. Um, so, for example, sometimes you'll get a kid that picks up the violin and it's like they've already known it forever. The first time they open their mouth singing, they sound like Adele. Like some people just, okay, may have gifts. But it's actually a scientific fact that anyone who devotes 10,000 hours to any task, doesn't matter what it is, creation, art, engineering, building, doesn't matter what it is, if you devote 10,000 hours to that specific task, you will become an absolute master of it, even if you had no talent in that given area. And a lot of people will think, well, God, 10,000 hours. Who wants to spend 10,000 hours learning how to play an instrument if you're not a musical person? Well, truth be told, as we grow up or we're conditioned after we're born, we'll lean towards certain things for whatever reason. So, for example, in my case, I had an emotional moment with art when I was very young that stayed with me, and I devoted my entire life pretty much to art. And as a result, now I'm 40 in my 40s, a very prolific artist, and I sell my work, I sell commissions, I've done live shows. I'm about to do a documentary about my art life. And I've even started a business thanks to my years in art and marketing. So, you know what I mean? It'll come naturally if it's something that you're really devoted and interested in, even if you don't have the talent for it. And using my art as another example, in my 20s, because I was so artistic and devoted to that creative part of my brain, I discounted every other part of my brain. So I would say, well, I'm a great artist, but I'm bad at business. If only I had an agent because I'm bad at business. Of course, I'm bad at business. I'm an artist, and very immature way to think. But a lot of people will use that limited thinking to keep them from growing in other areas. So that, I'm not a salesperson, so I'm not good at sales, or whatever excuse they give themselves that they're not good at or they're not meant to do or whatever. They will use that to keep themselves in that box, and that is how they will excuse themselves from not growing. And if they're not blaming their lack of talent, they're saying, God told me that I shouldn't do this. The reality is you didn't like doing it. It's not what you thought it was. Now you've changed your mind, and because you don't want to admit you gave up, you're gonna, blame it on some sign you got or whatever, when the reality is it's just not for you. And you don't have to like everything you do. You don't have to become a master of anything you do. But if you're looking for financial freedom and business growth, you do have to get past the limited thinking that holds you back. And just because, for example, you may not be comfortable public speaking, most people aren't in the beginning, that doesn't mean that you can't build a thicker skin over time or learn different skills that will help you get past, your limited beliefs. And again, if we want to go back to my art, when my husband became disabled, I had no choice but to become a breadwinner. And I resented that, being put in that position, because that's not what I signed up for originally. But you know what? It turns out I loved it. And then I got into brand development and business restructuring by, it wasn't a conscious choice. I was kind of thrown into that role and sink or swim situation. And it turned out I was awesome at it. So all that stuff about me being an artist and not a business builder was a total fallacy, because now I help run a multi-million-dollar business and I'm the one who built that brand. The blood, sweat, and tears came from other people. But in terms of me taking that business and making a viable, sellable brand out of it, I did that. And I had no experience doing that before. What it was many, many years in business, struggling, learning, failing, whatever. And now, I'm a superstar. So, all of that stuff came with time. And it came with me getting past these limitations I put on myself of, I'm an artist, not a business person. So if you're approaching business right now and saying, I would love to do this, but I hate to speak in public. I'm not social. I'm not good at sales. I'm not this. I'm not that. Don't tell yourself or let yourself believe that because you're not that now, that you cannot become what you need to be. Now, also don't pressure yourself to think that Unless I'm like Sarah Robbins or I'm going to become a speaker like Eric Worre, I'm never going to be successful in business. That's not the case either. You know, with multi-level marketing especially, it grows as you grow, and you can create your business around the things you feel comfortable with. I'm not the most social person. I limit my classes. I do most of my work on the internet. That's where I feel comfortable. That's what I know. Other people, very social, social butterflies, they do better selling in social environments. And, and so what you can do, what I do, is I focus on what I'm good at as I'm developing the skills I need to in the areas I'm not so good at. And then as I develop those skills, I then expand my business to allow for that new skill set. And then, you'll see your business grow that way. So don't tell yourself, if there's something you can't do right now, okay, you know what I mean? Not a big deal. Don't make that stop you from doing your business, but don't make that stop you from trying to become the thing or to learn the thing that you're telling yourself you can't do now. And you don't need a miracle for that. All you need is YouTube. Do some research on YouTube, Google, practice on your friends, practice on your family, practice on people that you don't need to impress, so that when you get around the people that you do want to impress, you're already pretty polished, and you've learned the skills. There's lots of groups, like especially for public speaking. If you that's your big hang up, or sales is your big hang up, there's lots of courses that you can take online and in person where you practice on each other and you do your elevator spiel. I remember doing a workshop that was all about an 11-second elevator spiel, so that by the time you walked out, if somebody asked you, "So what business are you in?" you knew exactly what to say and it would come out smooth. And now I use that with every business I'm in, and it's only helped me talk to new people. So find the courses you need, learn the stuff you need to learn, and you will see that the more you develop yourself, the more your business will change and grow to reflect how much you are changing and growing. And that's my message for today. Have a great one.